So here's the issue that we're trying to solve now, is we have cases that get created from various places, and they can be assigned to a person, and that's very straightforward. The other thing that can happen is they're not assigned to anybody, and they get assigned to a hopper. The hopper has an owner, and the hopper owner's job is to watch the hopper and make sure that the count of the cases in it is reasonable. But if somebody over here wants to look at the hopper, they have to go look at it, and there might be several people, and they have to go and look at it, and it's kind of relying on these people to remember to do that, and that's kind of annoying, right? This guy gets it automatically showing on his homepage, whereas these guys, they only have their individual ones, but they don't have the hopper stuff. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of this manual stuff and say, look, this team is using this hopper. We're going to create a subscription between each one of these people and the hopper. And if they subscribe to the hopper, then on their homepage, it's going to look like this: my cases and my hopper cases. And what will happen is these hopper cases will reflect any items and hoppers that they're subscribed to. And the reason we want to do this is because we sometimes have this team that is supposed to be working collaboratively on this hopper, and they're supposed to look at it and kind of grab whatever's there. And so then the other thing is, now it gets to kind of grabbing it. So they open a case that's in here, and you've got the ribbon with a bunch of buttons and the metadata and the whole story of the case and whatever. And the problem is that this case exists in a hopper, and anybody could be looking at it. So what we want to do is we want to add a new button here, and this button is the Assign to Me button. And what happens is, as soon as they click that button, it automatically takes the case and assigns it to them. And it's different than take ownership, okay? Because taking ownership is a different concept. And that way, what happens is these guys can all look at the hopper cases collaboratively, and this is just learned behavior that we need to teach people, is the first thing they do is they grab that case, they assign it to them, and it goes into their case list, and then they start working on it. So the next thing that we would need here is some way of understanding who is assigned to the hopper, and can we do automatic assignments. So that's phase one, is just kind of creating the basic infrastructure. Phase two will be, how do we know who's assigned to the hoppers? And the next thing will be is to automatically assign them based on job title or job function. So if we have a new person in the accounts payable department, they become assigned to the hopper. So starting with this one is how do we know? We could create some kind of report or something, but the easiest way to do it is to say entity type equals hopper, and move hoppers in general into entities. I think that if we do that, we would have the ability to for example, we would have the name, we would have the hopper owner, description. We might have some information about the associated case types. In other words, for what case is this the default hopper? And that would be a sub list. You know what I mean? This would be a relationship, and then the next thing, subscribers. I guess this subscribers thing would really be an entity
Role association.
Well, not even. Oh, it could be any role association, because then we could have the hopper owner.
That's right.
Okay, so hopper owner is not a field. It's now an entity role association. So the difference between an entity association and an entity role association is that the entity association is just, hey, this person is associated with this entity. But if we add the word role in here, then we're doing it in a particular way. So this role could be hopper owner or subscriber. And we can save this, the last thing, which is the automatic. This is really phase 3, because that's a whole issue that's part of a larger application. Well, assign to me is certainly a phase 1 thing, because that's a button that would work for any case type. This should be done kind of immediately, right? But then the other thing is, how do we have people subscribe to hoppers? So I think in order to do this kind of in the fastest way, right now hoppers are not an entity type, and they have their whole own functionality. So what if we make them external entities? So basically what we'll do is we'll go grab that hopper list from wherever it lives, make it an external entity, and then we can handle the subscriptions that way. Wouldn't that be the easiest way to do it? So we don't have to mess with the underlying functionality, we can just kind of pick them up there. Well, that certainly would be the product I have to ship with that entity type set up. Right, exactly. Okay, so also for phase one is this, we're going to create an entity type for hopper and basically move hoppers into a default entity type. Right, into a pre-built entity type. Okay, great. And you know what we probably ought to do then, if we're doing that, is once we're doing that, let's ship with a default hopper already set up. Well, in other words, let's have a default hopper already set up and make it the default hopper for every new case type, because that way there will never be people don't have to remember to have a hopper. It'll just be in the default hopper. If we did this, we'd be knocking off a lot of birds with a couple of things, because first of all, we would be giving these teams what they want, but then also we'd be making it easier to set up hoppers outside of the config, and we would be establishing a default so that even if people aren't at that point in their development, they're going to have good governance.
Yes.
All right. Okay, thanks.
All right.